You're about to listen to the Brand Experience Podcast with your host, Fred Ranger. Hello and welcome to the Brand Experience Podcast. I'm Fred Ranger and I'm so happy that you're tuning in today to spend a couple minutes discussing about all things brand, creativity, and ultimately experiences that will make your customers more delighted. So first off, I want to say thank you so much for all the listeners. I'm seeing the stats in Ellipsis and basically they're going up even though I'm not posting every single week or every single month. You guys are still there and still listening to the show, so thank you so much for that. Secondly, I want to let you know that I reached out to some of my friends. The first interview that I did with Yann Nicolas was really enlightening for me. I really like the format where entrepreneurs or creative people share their thought process, their struggles, and how they're basically giving value back to their clients. So basically, I will bring these interviews back to the podcast. And I do have one lined up with one of my friends who's a designer, creative, who built a business over the past 6 years. And she's been very, very successful. She did not go the hyper growth route like a lot of other entrepreneurs. She decided to build her business in a very slow but efficient way. So expect a very interesting conversation dropping end of next week or early the week after. So that's the first update. And today's topic, I want to talk about a process that any brand or any organization should pay attention to when they're trying to define what they're doing for a living. And this is valid not only for startups or for, young entrepreneurs. This is also valid for big brands because I think that there's a lot of marketing departments and brand departments that are going straight to the USP, the unique selling proposition. What are we selling? How can we increase margin and profit? And this is all good and great. But the brand attribute exercise that I'm about to share with you today, I think it's one of the most important part of defining what is that value that you're bringing to your clients or to your employees or to the society ultimately. So I want to share a couple points that you should go through. I'll put a link in the show note below if you want a little reminder and go through the exercise yourself. And if you want more information on the actual process, you can drop me a line at hello@fredranger.com. Again, this is hello@fredranger.com, and I'll be happy to assist you with this exercise. So the first thing you want to think about when you define your brand attributes, for me, it's the most important one, actually. The first one is culture. You should define how you want your customer and employees to describe your company. The culture part is a couple things. So the first one is definitely the people who work in your organization. What are the behaviors you want to encourage? What are the behaviors you want to be perceived of encouraging? So working on the culture pillar is the start of everything. Culture can either destroy an organization or make an organization great. And so the exercise is very simple. Just put on a piece of paper the answer to that question. How would your customer and your employee describe your company? Or how would you want it to be? And then you'll see if there's a gap in how they're describing your company and how your employees are describing your company and the actual reality. And do the little survey, ask around, ask your existing clients, ask your existing employees, and try to match that with the actual reality. So you might be surprised on what you will find out. So that's point number one, culture. Point number two is customers. How would you describe your ideal customer? And again, this is a very simple exercise, but it forces you to think about, do we have the right customers here? Are we selling our service or our product to the right audience? Are we talking to the right audience? Are we building the famous pipeline? And is it the right type of leads that we have in the pipeline? So by describing it, and by looking at your existing clients, you might, again, find some differences that are very insightful in how you want to define your brand attributes going forward. Then, I think this one is also very important. It's about voice. So basically, how you sound to others. If your brand was a person, then try to describe it. Try to describe how your brand operates, how it behaves. See, these are not like marketing/sales points, these are really human attributes. If you were to describe a brand that's friendly, that's forthcoming, that's helpful, this is not the same brand as a brand that's entertaining or that's basically pushing the limits. Like if, I refer to Red Bull or any other brands that are, trying to position themselves as being very, very extreme. The fourth one is about feeling. So basically, after interacting with your product or service, how does someone feel? Can you describe it? And again, these are all pieces of information you can gather by asking your existing clients or potential clients, and then look at if there is a gap in what you're trying to build as a company and how you want people to feel after they've done business with you, and the actual reality. And you might want to adjust some stuff there. So culture, customers, voice, feeling. And the other question you should ask yourself is, what's the impact we're having? So this is my fifth point. Impact is about what's quantifiable. What are the outcomes that am I providing for my clients? I like the word impact because it's larger than just ROI or just results, because you are working towards helping the business you serve reach their business objectives. And it's not necessarily always money or leads or clicks and so on and so forth. So for me, you should list the impact or the quantifiable outcomes that you want to provide to your clients. And again, by asking very simple questions to your audience, you might see that the impact you think you have is not necessarily the impact you're having in the day-to-day. And then the last point is the differentiator. What's our X factor? What's unique about you? What's unique about your brand? What makes you special? And think about it as a human being. I really like to think about brands as humans, because ultimately people don't just buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So having a very strong view on what makes you unique, what makes you different, what makes you special will give you an edge when you're trying to position your brand in front of potential clients. And no, price is not the only way to differentiate yourself, or logo and branding is not the only way to differentiate yourself. I think if you think about the sixth point that I just mentioned, culture, customers, voice, feeling, impact, and that unique factor, this is when you start to have a brand story. And this is when you can start building your brand story and start communicating it. And then this should be used as a lens on every single decision that you make. So very simple questions. Once you've done that exercise, you can ask very simple questions like, is that how we want to be described by our customers? Is that how we want people to feel when they do business with us based on the feedback we're getting? And if no, you need to course correct. Managing a business is course correcting, every single day. So having that brand attribute exercise will help you make better decisions. So I hope you find this interesting. And again, if you want to learn more about this brand attribute exercise, I invite you to drop me a line at hello@fredranger.com, or just find me on Twitter @FredRanger. And you can also subscribe to the podcast, because more very interesting people are coming on, more intelligent than me, way smarter than me. And I will see you next time. And don't forget, it's all about the experience. Cheers.